Welcome to Peak Talent, the podcast that explores what really makes the difference on a journey to success and high performance. I meet with leaders and athletes to discuss their leadership, lessons learned, and advice. I'm Dani Trudel, and my goal is to bring you insightful conversations that invite you to see your journey and leadership in a new light, while uncovering the secrets and contagious inspiration of surpassing yourself. In this episode, I'm excited to welcome Karina Naim, a passionate entrepreneur who has dedicated most of her career to the sports industry, leading and founding impact-driven businesses. I wanted to explore what fuels her passion for sports, how she continues to thrive and innovate in this space, and her insights for the future. We'll begin with her perspective on the sports industry today. Together, we'll discover her secret to leading multiple businesses in sports, making an impact beyond the game. Karina Naim is the general manager of Sportira, a custom team uniforms company, and Sportira Cage, an indoor sports complex, both of which have served the Montreal and sports community for over 20 years. She also founded Athlon Combine, offering athlete testing for all ages and levels, as well as the Fresh Start, dedicated to organizing and optimizing residential and corporate spaces. With over 2 decades in the sports industry, Karina has made a mark through her diverse roles and commitment to sustainability and accessibility in sports. She holds a BA in sociology from Concordia University and recently joined the board of the Canada Street Soccer Association, while also contributing to Égal Action as part of a diversity consultation committee. Beyond business, Karina is also passionate about practicing sport herself. She played basketball in school, and today you'll often find her in the gym, whether boxing or practicing Pilates. I met Karina in 2024 when she collaborated with Athlon Combine on the pilot of my Propel program with the FC Anjou U17 girls soccer team, where I served as a mental preparation coach and overall program leader. I'm excited to share her inspiring journey with you. Happy listening. Hello, Karina. Welcome to the Peak Talent Podcast.
Thank you, Dani. Thanks for having me.
It's such a pleasure. And I'd like to start by congratulating you for your amazing career and the positive impact you have on the sports community, youth athletes, and women.
And adults and men.
Yeah.
Well,
you're so involved in the sports community. It's been years and years. It's worth mentioning.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, let's start by a very short introduction. So you're a multiple entrepreneur. You have many businesses. You're the general manager of 2 businesses, co-founder, most of them in sports.
Mm-hmm.
So before diving into your journey, I'd like to get your perspective on the challenges and the opportunities that you see in the industries you're in, mostly sports, and particularly the impacts on emerging talent and leadership.
I think, like anything, I think we see it in whether you're in sports or any industry. I think we see it in relationships. What used to be the norm is no longer. What I mean by that is, working towards a career that you wanted to hold on to for 30, 40 years and retiring at that same business is no longer what people are excited about. That stability, that, one track where I'm building this one thing, which is okay, and today, I'm an example. I see the next generation, a lot of people call it side hustles. A lot of people call it, just dabbling in different things. And the older generation look and say, oh, well, you guys, you can't stick to one thing, but I don't see it that way. I see it as, as we mature and as we grow up, our interests change and our, our wants and desires change, our financial, needs change. So the fact that, and we see it in relationships, stable relationships versus people ending up, having 2, 3 partners in their life. And I think that we're just in a different place. And so I see that in the industry and how leadership is going to grow for sure.
What do you think about the sports industry particularly?
The sports industry is changing. Obviously, the impact of women in sports. I'm a huge advocate for that, only because, like so many other places, you just sometimes barriers have to break and ceilings have to crash for new opportunity, and new environments to open up. I see it because of purchasing. I see it, before you'd have, let's say, 10 guy teams and you'd have one girl, or you'd have a mixed team. Now, I'm selling 5 guy teams and 5 girl teams.
Hmm.
It's really, the narrative has truly changed. You look at flag football, you look at basketball, and I'm not just talking on the high leagues, the new leagues that are starting up, soccer, women's NBA, and I'm talking at the grassroots level in elementary schools and high schools. Um, yeah, I think the biggest change that I've seen is really the impact of women today in sports.
So more women or more young women play sports.
Very much.
Oh, that's really good news. So you're really in the
Mhm.
forefront to see that
Of
change
course.
happening.
Hmm.
So if I now look back at your career, I'm curious to know what led you to this career and sports entrepreneurship. What's your connection to sports?
My connection to sports started very, 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 very young. So my uncles were in the sports manufacturing business. My dad was in the sports manufacturing. He was a printer. We still have that shop. We started in 1990. So from the day I was born, I would walk into literally a sweatshop where, I saw cutting and sewing, and I knew like the dyers, and I knew shipping. So every summer job was there,
Mm.
sweeping the floor of the shop. My grandfather had a little store that he would open an hour a day, that if it was Saturday or Sunday, or we had a day off school, we were with them, and we'd sell dollar t-shirts to like all the immigrant families in the area of Park X. And it was like you make $5 at the end of the day, and that was a big lesson. But I mean, we lugged so many t-shirts and hoodies. So and then as we grew up, our real summer jobs ended up being there. Then we started in accounting, and then we would like enter lot numbers. And at the time, everything was very manual. So we were just exposed from a young age. And I never realized, I mean, we were four girls in the house, and there was always sports on. And I later on understood that depending who won is if we made money or not, right? So if the Montreal Canadiens made it to the Stanley Cup, we all had a really good year. If Italy would win the World Cup, we would all have a good year. So I just thought my family loved sports, but it turned out it was a very big part of our financial situation as well.
So it's a family business,
Yeah.
and you sort of walked into that just
Yeah, I
naturally.
was I was basically, I mean, I worked in it for a long time, and then, I dabbled in all the other, little jobs when I grew up, a little Blockbuster here and a little,
Mm.
eye shop there. And then when I was in CEGEP, there was an opportunity with my dad, and, there was a big shift in the business, and he's like, "Would you like to be part of Sportira?" And I was like, it's like in my DNA. It's all I know. Um, a member of the team I had known since I was like 14. He was already like my big brother. I had so much trust in him, and my relationship with him. So I jumped in, and it took me a while to make it my own, because the old school mentality, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So that was a challenge. And then, like I did in every other opportunity, I just learned every single aspect and sort of proved my way up. And I've been doing that ever since.
Hmm. And what do you think was a pivotal moment for you, or a decision that you made that really influenced the fact that you're there today?
Um, I think the first time, I'll never forget, like making a Excel sheet and looking at all these numbers, and I'm like, this just doesn't make sense, And I remember calling clients, and we had all these sales reps, and nobody was really producing. And I'm like, look how much we're paying, and And the first time, I just was told, like, don't try to change everything, And that my father is very open, and our whole lives it's been like carte blanche, and like just go and make mistakes and go and make mistakes. And it was the first time it was like, stop, And I was like, I know I'm right, like I know this is the way. And And I realized like, okay, I got to do this a different way. I really have to prove it. And I knocked on every door and I called every client and I sat in every office and I just really had to come and bring. So it still affects me. I was like, I know I was right.
Wow.
We could have done this earlier, but I also made a lot of mistakes, which
Yeah.
we won't talk about today.
So that's interesting. So you persisted
Hmm.
and you believed in what you did
Hmm.
enough to push to help the business.
Well, the business was my family, right? It was my seeing my parents' retirement. It was people that were in the business. I mean, like Tony, that was already there with my dad. He was already like family to me, and he's still here with me. So it's different working for someone else. Although I always had that for someone else, I always had the same work ethic. But here it's like, this is our plate, this is
Mhm.
like what's going to make my family if one day I have kids. So yeah, I think you have a different mindset, definitely, when it affects you directly.
Yes. And how, I guess, different is it when it's people that you really know and love, and to sort of establish your own place
Um,
or your
Amazing
own
and terrible
leadership.
all at once. Amazing in the sense that I've never walked into work unhappy. Like I've
Mm,
never woken up and been like, I have to go to work. And it's a question I ask my team a lot. Like, do you guys ever have those days where you're like, oh, shit, I have to go to work? Like, because I'm like, if you do, I need to know. That means we're doing something wrong. Um, so we do have, at the end of the day, if someone's having a bad day, we'll have a drink, we'll have coffee together in the morning, we have lunch together. I'd say 90% of the time, it's a little like what I learned from my family growing up. When you eat together, it
mhm.
breaks all the stress. And if someone's having an off day, like lunch always sort of helps.
Yeah.
Um, but on the flip side, if somebody doesn't produce, it's very hard to have those conversations, or when somebody is not the right fit for the company and you have to
Mhm.
let them go, but it's someone you truly like love, it's someone you care about. And so you have to, those are tough conversations.
Yes. And
Yeah.
so you were able to establish yourself and take over the business and make it your own.
I think the business, I never see it like as a one man show. The way I describe it, like we're a lot of pieces of a puzzle, and if somebody's not there, it really doesn't work.
Mm.
And I've actually recently retracted myself from a position which was a little bit micromanaging, and because I feel like I've put all the right people in the right seat for a long time. I felt like I
Mhm.
had to rush to learn and understand who needs to be where, and I realized that I was in the wrong place. So that was a big move. And now it's like me listening to someone else and being like, okay, I'm just going to do this. Of course, I have my 2 cents whenever I think it's necessary. But um, yeah, I mean, people prove themselves and take on different roles, and you have to just go with that. And that's
Mhm.
the business goes first before all of us.
Mm.
That's the rule.
I guess growing up and doing all of the jobs, knowing it so well, it's hard to remove yourself, I guess, from pieces of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But where I am now, I'm happy because I get to deal more directly with my clients. I get to speak to them and understand like what they need. I mean, we have some clients I've been working with for over 15 years, 20 years.
Wow.
So we all started, sometimes the same age. Now we're in our 40s, and it's like I know their kids and I know their wives and I know their husbands, and like so the trust in business is really important.
Absolutely.
And I've never tried to sell something to someone. I've always
Mhm.
tried to understand what they need and see how I can deliver that.
Mm. Um, what you just said just brings a new question to my mind. I know that with your sports gear business,
Mhm.
you also have the mindset of caring for the environment. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Because I think this is different from all the others.
Yeah. So because I grew up in manufacturing, people thought I was crazy that, I wanted to produce my stuff. So it's called sublimation. That's the technology. Now my sister's a silk screener. I mean, we're all in production. Um, and yeah, it's a little crazy. It's very easy to buy overseas. It comes, it's ready, it's done. It's like magic. But, there's something about having control. I guess I'm a bit of a control freak. So there's something about knowing that if I tell a client they're getting their order Tuesday, it's Tuesday or Monday and it's never Wednesday. So I can control that. And I really like that because I think that's something people are missing today is that guarantee and customer service. The program is called Reprieve. We actually wanted to start it prior to COVID, and then COVID happened, and it was a lot more complicated. Um, what it is ocean-bound plastic that gets melted and washed and turned into these like pellets, and the pellets is what creates the yarn that we purchase to
Wow.
make the fabric, our main fabric that we use for most of our sports jerseys and shorts. We have a certification. It's about 15 plastic bottles for every jersey made.
Really?
Yeah. And so, a lot of like, some maybe older clients were like, well, can you just get me a cheaper one? But like, I remember the first conversation I told my nephews and my niece, and they were like, oh, that's really cool. Like, that's important. And then I always have an ear to the next generation because that's what I'm catering to. Right.
Yes.
And I feel like as a business, there's like a company culture that you have to be really clear about. And okay, we could sell jerseys, we can all make a salary, but then what? So, when you speak to a school and you've done 5, 6 sports and all these teams, and then you're like, by the way, you guys just recycled 10,000 bottles.
Oh, yeah.
Like, promote that to the kids, tell the kids. Sometimes we indicate it on the jersey. Not only is it made in Montreal, Canada, like we're made local, but we have the sustainability thing. So I think it's important for a lot of people, especially in the environment that we're in these days,
Absolutely.
supporting our local businesses. And so, yeah, that's how we
Absolutely.
got to Reprieve.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Bravo.
Merci.
So let me come back now to leadership. I'd like to understand, what do you think is your leadership style, both in your career or in any activity you do, and how is it developed over time, and how does it serve you on a daily basis?
That's a really good question, Danny. Um, so I think that if I had to look at it, my leadership style has changed enormously. When I started in the business in my 20s, I had something to prove to a lot of people. I was, 21-year-old walking into like these big corporate meetings and a little bit like sort of dismissed. And so I was like, I have to take my place. So I was a real, excuse my word, hard ass, like I had something to prove. I had something to prove. Um, but maybe I didn't do it with the right skill set. And then in my 30s, I knew my stuff. I knew my product. I knew my competitors. I knew my price points. I knew. And I was like in a building phase where I was like, okay, I know what this business needs. I know who I need. I have the right people, but we're still all shuffled and doing a lot of the wrong things. So I think in my 30s, I just, deflated that balloon just a little bit to be able to walk through the door. And it was less about what is everybody else doing and what should we be doing. And now in my 40s, I find I'm a lot more passive and a lot more accepting of things. I have zero care for who the competition is. I don't look at any of that. Before I needed the clients, now it's like I'm looking more towards community projects and I'm looking at who do we want to work with? Who do we want to be associated with? And I try to like really show that to my team and understand what they want to and what's important to them and what they would be proud of, not just what I would be proud of. So I think as you get older, you realize what's truly important, whether it's in life or in business. So my leadership skills have definitely changed, and I'm here and I read a lot of business books and I try to implement a lot of things that'll affect our lives. We implemented the 4-day work week a couple of years ago because people need quality of life and people need that time with their families, and how can we give the same efficiency but give that as well. So yeah, I think I'm a lot calmer ish and a lot more accepting of the fact that I don't need the whole pie.
Mm.
Little piece of it, I'm quite content with.
Yeah, a few things I heard through what you just said and stuff a bit earlier is that you're someone with a vision,
Hmm.
also with a very strong team team focus,
Mm-hmm.
and care
Mm-hmm.
for the community. So it really is interesting to see all that's evolving. Now you're involved in different types of businesses. You're creating new businesses. How is that impacting your leadership?
Um, so I could tell you from now, the care part comes very much from the real leader, which is my father. Like,
Mm,
he is the most compassionate person. I've always told him, "You're not an owner, you're a worker." Like,
mm,
he's just always about the people and never really about the dollar sign. Um, I'm a little bit about the dollar sign, but more than but yeah, the new businesses, like Athlon, for example, again, something that it's like, it was like a me thing. And now I've actually brought someone on board, and just really given him the reins and been like, okay, I'm going to support you. And I think that this is something you can grow. And again, let's cater to the grassroots sports. Let's cater to kids that don't have these experiences, or um, yeah. So I think definitely in everything we're trying to do, we're trying to be proud of it at the end of the day,
mm.
which is fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah,
you said earlier as well that you love what you do. Maybe not the word so much, but you come to work and
I love what I do.
yeah, you love what you do. So so passion also is something that drives
Mm-hmm.
your leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Absolutely.
many leaders find inspiration and strength in their personal lives. I
Mm-hmm.
know that you're physically active,
Mm-hmm.
and your business is in sports. So, what lesson do you think you've learned from sport that has transformed the way you manage or lead your business?
That's a funny question. So when I was in high school, I played basketball, and I quickly realized that I wasn't good on a team,
Oh,
which is
good.
weird because I hope I'm good in a team in real life. But yeah, I got fouled out every first quarter. I think that was like my 20s mentality of like, don't take this from me. Um, and today there's two sports that I tend to go to, and they're individual sports. It's boxing and Pilates. One that really grounds me and teaches me how to breathe and teaches me how to just, be focused. And the other one that just lets me release everything.
Mm,
Uh, but still, like, I'll never spar with someone, or I'll never, like, I like challenging myself. I think that, and that's the same in my businesses. I don't like hearing what my competitors are doing. I don't like knowing it doesn't change anything in how I want to operate my business. I see what I want to do and I just move forward. So I think that has some kind of correlation in the sports that I enjoy.
yes. And what have you been able to leverage from those two sports that help you every day?
I think, like the people that surround you in your everyday, I find, for me, the people that help you get healthy, whether it's mental or physical. I mean, I've seen how you've done it with your athletes, with your consulting, and whether it's a CEO or a soccer player. Um, so the people that I sort of let in to coach me and teach me, for example, my boxing coach has been someone that's been through the whole up and down and will know, how to make me better. And there's not a lot of people that I could say that about, whether, of course, family, and I have a very tight circle of people that I go to make me better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that definitely having key people that can help your mental, your physical, when you hit that wall or you get an opportunity and you're not sure if those business calls and those friends that are entrepreneurs that we can sit at dinner and say, hey guys, like, what do you think about this?
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of those in my life, and I think that's been really, really important for my growth.
Mm. So surrounding yourself with the right people.
Absolutely.
What do you think is your secret? What's the one thing that makes you so successful?
I tell people I have a triple threat because I have three older sisters, and they're all mega entrepreneurs in their own way, and they're all philanthropists in their own way, and like they all give back so much. Plus, they have kids, so I don't know how the hell they do it, but yeah, I grew up very exposed to strong work ethic. Um, I think that's definitely like my ace in the hole. There's nothing that, there's no obstacle that I've ever hit that I can't pick up the phone, and they have such different expertise, but all take like we're very similar, but we're all very different, and we all help each other in a lot of ways. But those conversations, those Sunday coffees together, those like,
Mm,
hey, this is going on, like, what do you think? Including my parents as well. We've all had a very open relationship. We're a very tight unit of six that like, you know, uh, I never felt like I had to go up against anything alone, and I think that's really something I
mm.
don't take for granted. But yeah, my definitely my triple threat is what's helped
It
me.
connects well with what you were saying earlier, surrounding yourself. So
Of course,
you have
of
your
course.
unit and you surround yourself and you pick the right people
Yeah.
to work with
Mm-hmm.
and be supported by.
Of course.
Yeah. Now you and I met in 2024
Mm-hmm.
through the pilot of the Propel program, where I
Yes.
was a mental preparation coach and I was leading the program.
Mm-hmm.
And you agreed to participate in this program with Athlon.
Mm-hmm.
And so why did you choose to participate in this, and what outcomes were you expecting from this?
I mean, first I have to congratulate you because it was probably one of the best programs I thought, as far as the presentation and as far as the impact and as far as the idea behind it. So definitely congrats to you
Thank you.
because I know you put that forth. Um, what I thought was so important about Propel is a little why we were doing athlon. So athletes, especially here in Quebec, are not exposed like they are, let's say, in the States,
Hmm.
or, you know, even in the States, like we're very programmed to just train, 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 game, train, 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 game, But what they don't realize is a little like if we come back to that having lunch with your family, right? People are going through stuff. Kids go through stuff. Teenagers go through stuff. And sometimes, yes, it's a release to be on the field, but sometimes a kid doesn't connect, and you're like, oh, I'm so distracted, da, 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 So sometimes it's like, hey, why don't we just put them together in a conversation? Or instead of playing soccer today, guys, we're just going to play like basketball, or we're just going to do a yoga class, Or and what I thought was so interesting is that an athlete is so much more than just practice.
Yeah.
It's how they present themselves. Like at Athlon, we make them do like interviews sometimes. Because I don't care if you're the best athlete. If you present yourself, you're like, yeah, I like playing soccer. Like you want that kid that's like, yeah, I was in the locker room and my team's gonna na 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 na. Like coaches see that, right? Coaches want that. So it's how do you present yourself to the outside world? How can you control your mental state? How are you training off, your hours with your team? How are you supporting your teammate? If you know someone, someone's parents are going through something or they're going through something at school, how are you lending like that? So what I found Propel did is really gave that 360 aperçu, like,
Mm.
of what an athlete needs. And I'm sure you saw it when you connected with the girls and you
Yeah.
had these conversations and them just when you understand, it's like at work when I know one of our members like is going through something. Well, we're going to be a little more sensitive in our day, or we might just finish a little earlier and just like chat, or have an extra coffee all together. So I think it's just being empathetic and understanding who your team is, and that goes leaps and bounds when you're on the field together.
Mm. It was a great for the first experience for me to collaborate with you,
Hmm.
and certainly I see you as someone with so much energy and so many great ideas and projects. I hope we get to collaborate
Of
in
course,
the future.
we absolutely will.
Now, tell me, balancing entrepreneurship,
Hmm.
leadership, and
Hmm.
personal life can be challenging. What strategies help you maintain your focus and energy? And what advice would you give to those who are striving for balance?
I give zero advice. I am a work in progress. I have not excelled in that department. Um, I think it comes back to the same thing of like age and maturity. And so when I was on, I would say like fast forward, nothing got in my way.
Mm.
And it's tough because, I remember getting so mad at my dad one day. It was like 11 o'clock or midnight, and I was at the office, and he's like, shouldn't you be going home to and I was like, if I was a man, would you call me? Like, if I was a man building my career, would you call me and tell me to go home? And I said, and if the answer is no, don't call me again, you know? And so I had this mindset of like, I don't want to have to give up what I've been doing. And of course, perhaps it might have affected a little bit my personal life, maybe not. Um, and now I'm just more conscious of work is not everything, you know, as you see, you know, your parents and your aunts and uncles and, you know, aging. And my nephews and niece right now are such a huge part of my life. Like they're not the kids I have to take care of anymore. They're my buddies, you know, we hang out and we're friends. Um, and they need my time and my energy, and I know this because my aunts and uncles gave us all that, and it was so important, and they kept the cousins together, and they showed us how important, and till today we're all very close. So I think my shift is really changing as every other part of my life. But do I have a work life balance? Nah, not really. I love working all the time. I don't feel like it's work. So that's another thing. I could be on my computer at 10 o'clock at night and everyone's like, why are you working? It's not work. I'm just, to me, I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm building something that I'm proud of. So yeah, but I'm not quite there yet.
Yeah. So your life and work are sort of integrated, and
hmm
it's you don't see une
I don't
coupure.
I don't check in or check out. No.
Okay.
And a lot of my clients are friends.
Mm.
So, you know,
So your life and your business is your life, I guess.
intertwined. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So,
guess.
so tell me, I want to talk about the future a little bit. How do you
Mhm.
think leadership and education can evolve to better prepare the next generation of athletes and leaders?
I definitely think, unfortunately, you know, life has changed so fast, definitely with like internet and all the exposure that kids are getting. I don't feel like the school has sort of the education system has been able to evolve as fast. I think having exposure to real life is something, you know, there's always like the street smart versus the book
Yeah.
smart. Um, you know, there's a program I've worked with. The guy started very small, and I remember on our last, what he does is he takes students virtually to companies to learn about what the teachers are teaching them. So when I would show them our shop, you'd have the chemistry teacher stop and say, "Okay, when we were talking about color, da da da, this is what we're talking about." Then I would show them our imports, and they're like, "Okay, when we're talking to you about duties and taxes, this is, you know." But on our last call, the first call had like 30 kids. On the last call, there was almost 1,000 kids from
Wow.
different schools, from different provinces. And it was like, I wish that when I was learning something at school, I had hands on. I was lucky I saw that with my uncle's company very early on, my dad's company. I was exposed. And so everything made sense, you know?
Mhm.
So I think we need to really listen to them. We need to not think that they're lazy because they're on their phones or they want to
Mhm.
do podcasts or they want to learn about crypto or they we can't keep dismissing. I find I'm actually probably one of the oldest people in my team. You know, I'm surrounding myself with 20-year-olds, and because I remember that hunger that I had, and I want that around me. I want that drive around me. You know, I think that it's exciting, and I think that if we give them that opportunity, like somebody gave me, we're gonna make some magic. So
Mhm.
yeah.
So listen to them, expose them
Mm-hmm.
earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and let them experience.
100%.
Okay, well, I'm at my last question. So to wrap up, I'd like to leave our audience with a reflection. What's one thing you'd like them to reflect on when it comes to their own leadership journey or their purpose?
I think that when people hear the word leadership, they see like this person heading a team,
Mhm.
and I think that's false. I think depending on what your career is, like if you're an engineer or if you're an artist or if you're, you know, you might not be managing a team of 20 or 30 or 100 people. I think leadership is really how you put yourself out there, how you want people to perceive you, how when you walk out the door, what you want your team to say about you, how what contribution you're going to bring that day or that week to your business, and are you proud of the work you're putting out? Leadership in a family. So
Mhm.
you know, if you're a parent, you know, are you leading your family to the right, way are you being present in the moments that when you're with people? So I think that people have to, can't say, well, I don't own a company. I'm not going to own a company, so I don't have to be a leader. That's not true. In everything you do, there has to be pride in what you're putting in. And I think that people have to really self-reflect on, what do I want to contribute, whether it's my personal life, my work life. Some people want to do the strict minimum, and that's okay. That's why leaders are not for everyone. But I think that everybody can be a leader in their own way, and should definitely focus on growing that aspect of themselves.
That's interesting. So own your leadership,
Mm-hmm.
think or reflect on the impact that you want to have,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess lean in a way.
Lean in.
Yeah,
Go
fantastic.
all in. Go big or go home.
Fantastic. Well, Karina, thank you so much for taking the time to answer all my
Thank you,
questions.
Danny.
It's such a pleasure.
Always.
Thank you, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Same to you. Take
Thank
care,
you.
Danny. Bye.
In this inspiring conversation, Karina shares how her journey has been shaped by her family's roots in the sports industry, being exposed early, and her drive, working her way up, understanding every aspect of the business, proving herself through action, and leading with care for her team, the community, and the environment. The secret to her success? What she calls her triple threat. Growing up with three entrepreneurial sisters who instilled work ethic, problem solving, and unwavering support. Surrounded by role models, she gained the confidence to lead her way. For Karina, success isn't just about money, it's about impact. People, relationships, and trust are key. Always learning, rolling up her sleeves, and persisting through challenges. Sport has taught her to surround herself with the right people to help her become better. Practicing boxing and Pilates keeps her grounded while giving her the chance to release everything. Her life and work are intertwined, working hard but never feeling like it's work. Her leadership style? She recognizes it has evolved from proving herself to leading with vision, prioritizing what truly matters, and focusing on the people. But mostly, she shows up every day, loving what she does. Her advice for the next generation? Exposing athletes and leaders to real world experiences early. Listen to them, let them explore, experiment, and give them opportunities. Her final reflection? Everyone can be a leader in their work and life. Take ownership and pride in what you put out in the world. So, what impact do you want to make? Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Peak Talent. If this conversation inspired you, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our goal is to bring you insightful conversations that shed new light on your journey and leadership, while uncovering the contagious inspiration of surpassing yourself.